Hello everyone, this is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full-time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for more than 3 years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So sorry for the super late video. It is my birthday today, so that was nice to get a bunch of good sales. It was kind of crazy where I mentioned a couple days ago where if I actually had some crazy days, August could be saved. So our August was like super saved. It was actually like unbelievable. So I'm just going to jump right into it. We're going to pack up super late tonight. Normally, we would be doing this tomorrow. Post office was closed. I forgot about that until Sunday or maybe like late Saturday, which I just kind of did nothing today because it was my birthday. I didn't do any listing, but I did have to pull all the items. All right, so the first thing right here is Space Master Strike book right here. This is like a Ice Crown Enterprises. This is going to be like an RPG book right here. It doesn't have all of the stuff in it like the inserts, but still like a good sci-fi one. This sold for $10 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping. All right, next up, and the stuff's all over the place. Sorry, I'm going to do my best to have it as organized as possible. So next up is going to be a lot of 5. These are going to be Star Wars X-Wing, like the miniatures game by Fantasy Flight Games. So they're like, there's the rule book, there's a rules reference, a learn to play sheet right over here, quick start rules, and then like a mission guide. So a bunch of different little like instruction booklets and stuff. Got a ton of these kind of bits and pieces for X-Wing. It's a pretty good Star Wars game where you get like a little ships and you have these dog fights in the air and you get to like put your little movements on these dials and then you're going to throw a bunch of dice and then you get to pick characters and upgrades onto your ships. This ended up going for $10.79. I had another set of those and I already listed them. All right, next up is going to be, this was with no miniatures, but this is, like I said, sorry, I'm kind of, the stuff's all over the place until we start going through it. All right, it's going to be over here. This is, Anetta's laughing at me. This is going to be Legions right here, Tantum Riders unit expansion without the miniatures. So Star Wars Legion is going to be a Star Wars miniature game. I remember it was like kind of popular-ish. I don't think it lasted too long. I think there's like fans or another company that bought this game at this point. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's going to have all the cards, the tokens, just literally not the miniatures for this. So this sold for $14.39. That was actually pretty good for that. Moving along, we have some dice for the Root board game. It's just the dice, though, right here. These are like the combat dice. They are D12s, but instead of having 1 through 12, they have like 0s, 1s, 2s, and 3s. That's just like how the dice are set up. I don't know if it's an even number spread throughout them, but it's still like in the board game packages, it would come in to the box, like just still sealed up so the dice don't get banged up in the box. Pretty good game where there's 4 different factions and you can buy expansions to the factions where you're fighting over territory. You're trying to get to, I think, the first animal critters to 20 points. It is technically like a territory control game, but it has all this like cutesy art in it. The little meeples are like little cute designed meeples for the board game. $7.79 for that. All right, moving along, we have a deluxe edition of this book, the How and Why Wonder book. Where is that? Where did I put it? Like I said, it's stuff's all over the place. Give me a second. I will find it. Where did it go? All right, it's all the way down here. Lost Cities, all right. I don't even know where we got this one at this point. There is a point where we got a bunch of books. We like the whole car full and stuff and always had easy access to books. So this is like a hardcover one sold for $10. This is like a really old listing. I think this is actually based off of my pictures. Probably one of our first few like 50 or 100 listings because I can tell because I had like this white table in my parents' garage and I had the dollar store white backdrop. I still have the dollar store backdrop. I still use it occasionally for when I'm taking out miniatures and organizing them. I don't want like the hairs, bugs, and bits and stuff, you know, get all over the place. So I dump it onto that backboard I used to use. Good memories. Moving along, we have this right here, Bookcase Games. This is going to be Down with the King board game. This cover is so cool. I think this might have been our first or second one. Have we sold this one before? I feel like we haven't. Down with the King. I feel like we have a bunch of these listed. It's a lot of pieces to count. I don't mind doing it, but yeah, it's like a fantasy political game. So there is like a lot of rules. There's a lot of cards and stuff. I've never played this one. I just like this art. I like the color palette, like the purples and stuff. So someone's finally going to appreciate it at $19.44. This one is a complete version. Sometimes there's like a couple cards missing. There's a lot of pieces to that from what I remember. All right, next up is going to be this right here. Let me read it off because I didn't have it memorized. It's a G.I. Joe Ara Law and Order gun, just like a little accessory. It's like 1 inch I almost lost this on the way from the storage unit back here. I forgot to put it in a bag. I had it like between stuff, and then when I was unpacking for the video, I saw it drop on the ground, and I'm like, oh, I should have put that, because I have like bags and I just have like stuff to put little things in at the storage unit. I should have paid attention. So I think my brother had a bunch of these like Transformers that were like incomplete or broken. He also had GI Joe stuff. He just gave me like a couple bags of stuff that he didn't want to deal with anymore, and they were sitting in his room for a couple years. This is one of the pieces from it. This sold for $5.99. People want to complete their toys with the little accessories and stuff. So, all right, next up is going to be War Machine. Haven't sold any of these in a while, but I realized, so this is Kador, Commander Andrei Malikov right here. It's going to be one of like the Warcasters. So War Machine is going to be the steampunk version. You have like a general or like a Warcaster. They're going to give out a bunch of commands, and then if they get knocked out, you lose. And I think if you actually knock out enough points of the other enemy's army, you also win. I think. I know there's like 2 victory points. Mostly people lose their Warcaster, and that's how the game ends. But I had a note here that I spent $3 for this at auction, and in the same bin, I remember that whole bin was listed with the War Machine and Horde stuff that I got from that auction, and there's only like 4 or 5 things left. So it's just like interesting to see that bin actually almost empty. This one for $15.99, so like 3 into 16 cents, super crazy. But I got most of them between like $3 to $5, and people do like to play War Machine and Kador is the faction. War Machine and Hordes, those games are like much cheaper than like Warhammer 40K. All right, moving along. This one's probably in a bad spot to get. This is also a super old listing. Also same setup. I don't know why the old stuff's been listing. Share old time radio with a friend at otrcat.com right here. We used to do pretty well with some like, oh, it's a little dusty. Yikes. We used to do pretty well with these like mouse pads or anything that's branded in general. We've done like pens and paper ephemera. So this ended up selling for $10. I still have like my old mouse pad, a StarCraft one. I think I ended up listing it, StarCraft 2. It's like I had it since I was like over 10 years ago. All right. Next up is going to be Star Trek Deep Cuts right here. Remen Warbird. This is going to be one of the miniatures with the little decals. It's pre-primed by WizKids, so someone can just go ahead and paint on it. They don't have to put like a layer of prime on it. This is for the attack wing game, but I think these are just substitutes that sub in. I don't think this has like all the rules that you need and upgrades and stuff for the things. I know attack wing stuff goes for a lot. I don't think I've gotten anything too crazy for attack wing. Maybe some like tokens, but that's about it. This sold for $16.19. I think I don't have many other deep cuts at this point. That's just like what WizKids call those, was deep cuts for whatever reason. All right, moving along. I don't know this. Maybe Anetta knows this. This is going to be a Buffy card, the Vampire Slayer collectible card game. Box of Gavrok right here. It's going to be a rare. I always get these like dead card games, usually in auctions. This is going international for $7.99. I know people like Buffy a lot. I've only seen a little bit. Anetta's like a huge fan of Buffy. Oh, okay. Anetta said they're revamping it, so maybe that's why someone picked this up. They're thinking about Buffy. They're thinking about like the whatever, the box of Gavrok right here. And maybe it was like part of an episode or mini series that they were excited about. All right. Next up is going to be a DVD. This is going to be Random Harvest. Never seen this one. It's like an older one. We do pretty well with the physical media. Getting a DVD sale felt great. $5.99. It's not like super fancy, but someone's going to watch this and appreciate it. With a lot of digital stuff that's just being like taken away from people in one way, shape, or form. Video game servers going down. Your favorite streaming platform takes it down. People like to actually have the physical stuff, and then they think like, hey, I can just buy it. I don't need to like sign up for a service to watch it. So we do think physical media is going to get better as time goes on. We'll just see how all of that plays out. Moving along, we have Rolla Crit right here. This is going to be a Gen Con pin from 2020. No, we didn't go to the 2021. I think we went 2021, but I forgot where we got this one. I think actually this was auction. Sorry, it was in the same bin with auction. Well, we've gone to different conventions and have stuff. So yeah, the Gen Con, this is the dragon right here. Pretty good pin. A lot of people like to collect pins. There's like a whole world of pin collecting. My brother was into it at some point where he was buying like special ones where you had to like sign up, and then the pins would have like, oh, there'd be like 10 of them that were green. One would be like pristine, and then 50 would be red. So they would have like all these, like a lot of people collect pins. I'll just tell you that. This one I'm going for $14.99. I don't know too much other than like what my brother taught me at the time. And I always knew people like growing up that like they like collect pins, put them on their backpacks and stuff like that, like vests or yeah. All right. Next up is going to be some Napoleonic toys. These are going to be, or like toy soldiers. I listed a bunch of these. These are going to be French line infantry. Sorry, I'm not even looking right now. I'm struggling to find them because I have a bunch of like miniature. Oh, it's always right in front of me. It's right here, so it's a baggie of them. Oh, I just did the video about this, I think a day or two ago. I started getting some sales. So this right here listed all of them. This sold for $18.71. So that's cool that someone's going to appreciate them. I knew that they were going to be like good quality. It was kind of hard to find them. I was actually finding the identities of all these toy soldiers basically from blogs by like older gentlemen that like really like this stuff. So they would take pictures and do like a whole story about like either a little battle or like how they painted these toy soldiers. So it was kind of wholesome going through and finding the identities of this stuff through like old school internet type of thing. All right, this one was a really hilarious one for Annette and I. So this is a she just groaned so hard because she knows. All right, so we got this. It's a bald eagle statue. It just says, I think, some kind of collection, whatever. The thing was, this is a cool like a bald eagle statue. It's a ceramic. At that time, we were going to a bunch of Goodwills. We would get stuff, come home, and then realize that there was stuff that was like damaged or broken. And be like, oh shoot, we should have checked harder. So Annetta found this one, and she came up to me specifically, and she goes, "Is there any damage on this one?" So I look at the whole thing. I'm like, "No, it's fine." Like I looked it over carefully. So we ended up getting this one. We get home, I'm listing it. I noticed that there's a talon right here that's broken off, like one of the claws of the talons, and then this whole other part is missing. Like we were like losing our minds because we looked at like all over it and didn't see any damage. So we have no idea what happened, or we both were just being blind that day. But like I remember we were like specifically trying to not get a broken ceramic just like by buying it broken. So $9.30 for this one. We probably spent like $5 or so on that. So that's probably a loss overall, but someone's gonna appreciate it. Also, it has my very old listing backdrop, white table, dollar store background. So that, yeah, a lot of old stuff. Interesting. All right, moving along, we have these right here. I don't fully know their usefulness, but these are going to be Games Workshop. These are going to be Blood Bowl. These are a little, what are they called? End zones, like team end zones. So they're double-sided. So these are going to be all the different teams for the Warhammer. There's sport game, which is Blood Bowl. There's different versions. This, I think, is a more vintage one. But yeah, there's 5 of these. Went to a repeat buyer for $13.92. So maybe these are just like you put them on the table. That's the, you know, the end zone, the goal post type of thing. So, and then I guess you'll probably pick like your banner for your team that you're playing. There's like orcs and elves and all that stuff, and they have like fancier names. So it's a little bit more cheeky of a Warhammer type of game. All right, speaking of Warhammer, we have this right here. This is a metal, they're called a Tomb Spider by the Necron, which is kind of like the Terminator robots type of faction for Warhammer 40k. Sorry if there's someone more into it and they know more about the Necrons. That's just kind of how I see them, as like dark sorcery and stuff like that. So yeah, this is gonna be one of the little Tomb Spiders. It does have all of the parts that need to be re-glued. Probably not a big deal for someone. I just don't, when I get like a figure and it's like broken, I just kind of list it as is and I'll let someone else deal with it, and I'll sell it for slightly less because I don't want to like mess with gluing it and having it break again. And usually people, when they're into like metal miniatures, they're going to do a better job than me anyways. $25 for this one. Got a bunch. I got like a Necron army. Only so it's been selling slowly. I thought it would sell faster. Maybe my prices were too high or something, but they are slowly selling. So at first I was like, oh no, why did I pick this up? I thought these would be better. And it's doing well now over time. All right, next up, I have no idea what this card game is. It says Wars on the back right here. It looks like some kind of sci-fi one. This is Max Retros is the like name of it. It's a rare. This ended up going for $6. That's also going to a repeat buyer. I pick up dead card game stuff all the time. Sometimes it'll be all of one game, or sometimes it will be like a bunch of different games. When I tell people it's a dead card game, meaning that like there's no company making this stuff right now. Sometimes fans end up doing rules and updates and stuff, but like it's not being printed by like a current company. All right, moving along, they kind of paid at different times. So I'm just going to show off all of the stuff that they got. And then when I get to the price points, I'll say the price points when they paid, because they paid different times. So over the past week, I listed a bunch of these GDW, which is Game Designers Workshop, Europa, which is like a board game series. There's 24 of them, very expensive war games, older ones. People do like them. You could play them all in a series, really complex type of game, lots of pieces. So I got this like collection that was basically kind of like everything was kind of mushed together. So there's no way to fully like, it would have taken me too much time to try to figure out like how many counters. For example, some of these games can have like thousands and thousands of counters. So I sold a bunch of the baggies right here of the counters. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bag. Like you can see there's a lot of these. I also picture them all because then I had a conversation where like, is it worth my time to lay them all out so someone can see what they're getting, or did I waste time? So we were both like kind of in the air, up in the air about it. It ended up being worth it now because they all sold. So, and a couple days too. So it's rare that I sell this much stuff in a couple days. There's a bunch of stuff over here. Like I said, they bought every single token that I listed that day. So they must be super excited. These games are really expensive if you get them complete. This is not complete, but this is like a lot of tokens to them. These all represent little like infantry or vehicles, maybe like supplies. I don't know if they do buildings. I see some like hit counters. Like this basically represents, these are like your board game pieces. Think like if you play Monopoly, you have your little player pieces. These are all the military armies that they get to control. All right, so all of this stuff right here, this person picked up all that I showed, but so there's 3 lots right here that they first paid for $81, and then later on, I'll get back to it. So it was more than that. All right, sorry if that was confusing, but I go in order by how like they paid for it. Moving along, we have these 2 books. Got a bunch of books at some point. Jenny Colgan right here. We got The Cafe by the Sea and The Endless Beach. I paired this up just because it's the same author. They are hardcover. They're going international, so that's always cool. Someone's going to want to read some stuff from here. End up selling for $9, just 2 books, nothing crazy. But yeah, still, I got the books pretty cheap, so I don't mind selling some of them cheap. All right, next up is going to be some cars. Oh, these were cool lots. I made all these like cool aesthetic lots. I don't know if you guys care or if you can see. They were kind of like this like tealish kind of color. Got a bunch of these good die-cast cars. These were from the person that flips storage units, and then they got a bunch of like police not ephemera, like just stuff of anything that was like related. So we got a bunch of the cars. So these end up going this lot for $15 right there. I feel like I did a good job with those pictures. All right. Next up is going to be $27 for one of those baggies of the Europa tokens that I showed you on top of the 88. And then next up was someone that got some floppy disks right here. This is Phonics Plus right here, Stone and Associates Software, disc 1 and 2. No idea if they work. Got these from a really cool estate sale a long time ago. And I just finally got to these discs and stuff and listed a bunch of them. There's a lot of games. There's also just like a lot of different random stuff, software, and there were some D&D dice we got from the people and a bunch of ephemera. That was a fun estate sale. We went digging at that one. There was like a back room where basically the estate sale people were like, yeah, you can go there, but like it's all junk. And then that's where we mostly got all of the stuff from that sale. I remember that. $10. Remember Annetta was trying to find me. I was like, no, come back here. There's good stuff here. And we went super digging. All right. I think we only spent like $50 to $70 for that, but we got a ton of stuff. It was like a bulk price because they literally thought the stuff in the back was just like junk. For example, I got like 50 or 60 like PC manuals and stuff. Those were just good themselves. All right, moving along, we have a card. So I know a little bit more about this one. So this is, the card is, these are the cards I already showed you guys. Where's the third card? Where'd it go? It disappeared. Hold on. Hold on. Where'd it go? This is embarrassing. This is super embarrassing. I'm looking for a card. What? Oh. It's right in front of me again. It was under the DVD. I gotta stop that. All right. This right here is going to be Eve, the second Genesis card game, but so I think there's maybe only 1 or 2 sets of this card game. It's been a bit since I looked into it. I know I've gotten a very few amount of these cards. When I bulk them up, I get a lot of money for them. This is going to be a foil rare. It's a Ferox. It's like one of the battle cruisers. This is based off of an online MMO game that's been going on for a long time. It's a pretty intense one. I tried playing it for like 2 or 3 months. It was way too involved. I did have fun, even though I didn't really know what I was doing. But yeah, you basically have like a spaceship. Like you're like a commander. You end up purchasing spaceships. The whole game's kind of set up where there's like a bunch of planets in like the whole world, and then there's real life people that gather up and they make their own little like clans, and they end up having like wars. There's like warping different portals to go from like one place to another. But people really like this game. they get really into it. So I assume that someone who's into the online game thought that they found out that there's some cards, and then these are, like I said, when I find them, they go for a lot. This one sold for $15. So it was just a foil card. It's pretty good for like a dead card game. All right. Next up, I've been playing this game recently, Journeys in the Dark 2nd Edition. This is just a set of 48. This is a complete set of the tiles. These are the little tiles that are square and gridded that your characters move on. You use these to set up the scenario. You open up the scenario book. It tells you what tiles to get. There's going to be like different, like, water, or there's lava pits or regular pits or obstacles in the way. You use these as like little puzzle pieces to build out the scenario. This ended up going for $19.99. They do kind of get worn on these edges when you kind of clip them in and out of each other. And also, like, they can kind of get bent and creased. Mine are well loved, but I don't care. I still use them. I play with it, but that's probably why someone picked those up. Or they want to make more custom scenarios where they need more of the tiles than the base game gives you. $19.99 for that. All right, next up is another one of the GGW Europa shit tokens that sold. It was $22.99 for one of the bags, but like I said, I was on top of the 27 for the other one and 88 for the other first one I showed you. All right, running out of breath. Moving along, we have rum and Netta's laughing at me. Rum and Bones coins right here. Coin pack. I think it's going to be for a board game. These are supposed to be upgraded ones. These are plastic ones, but like I can tell just by the look of it, they look kind of like, I don't know, I would almost, me personally, would choose cardboard. So these don't sell for too much. It's probably cool miniatures or not. This is probably like an extra. I forgot like what this was probably like an extra throw-in is, like a Kickstarter bonus. But I forgot what Rum and Bones, like what the type of game is. It's been a while since I've seen it. I've never played it, but yeah, this one I'm going for $5. I do know people like it. That's all. That's all that matters, especially when I'm selling on eBay. All right. Moving along, we had like more of these tokens. Like I said, they were paying at different times, $31.99 for another set of them, because what I showed you was a bunch of different lots. All right, moving along, we have a Strategy and Tactics Barbarossa one right here. Normally, the Strategy and Tactics military war game magazines have like games in them. This one does not have any games, but it's still in pretty good condition. It's still going to have a bunch of stuff right there. This ended up going for $14.40 to repeat buyer. I had a note to relist that one, but I didn't have another one there, so it must have already been, this is the relisted one. So it's always cool to sell like the same thing over and over again. Replenishable is what they call it. I always feel like that word's too fancy. All right, next up is going to be a combo order. They ended up buying 3 lots of more of the toy soldiers. These were artillery, Napoleonic, Austrian grenadiers. So yeah, 3 little bags of them, 25 figures in each bag. So they spent 18, so that's 36 plus 9, so 45 right there. For those, that's pretty good for that. All right, they were sending me offers on other ones, but then their other offers were too low for those. So I don't know, it's kind of weird to get good offers on some and low offers on other ones. All right, next up is going to be a lot of 98 Gamma World. This is by, I think, Wizards of the Coast. It was Wizards of the Coast or TSR. I think Wizards of the Coast. This is going to be role-playing game cards right here. Oh, it actually has D&D, so it's one of those two. So yeah, there's just a bunch of different cards. This is not like the full box set. These were cards from this box set. This ended up going for, no, it's like a board game, I think. All right, I'm losing track of what this was. This ended up selling for $22 for that. It was either cards for a board game off of an RPG, or they were just some kind of offshoot RPG that D&D made called Gamma World. So it's one of those two. All right, I looked into it when I was listing it. Next up is going to be this Furnace. This board game's so good. This is by Arcane Wonders. It kind of has this like old school it's not Abraham Lincoln in it, but it just kind of looks like him on the front. It's about like trains and building up your little engine. This game is very simple, where you have like a couple of cards. It plays over like 15 to 30 minutes, and you're specifically like making an engine with your card. So like you'll play a card, someone else will play a card, and I think you bid on stuff with bidding tokens, and then it'll be like, oh, this card gets you this little coal, which allows you to use this card with the coal, which gets you this stat. It'll be like steel, it makes steel, and then you play this game over the course of, I think, like 5 rounds or 6 or 7 rounds or something, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. Very simple game. I just loved it, and then I played it a couple of times, but she didn't want to play it anymore because I kept winning, which is rare for us. She wins like 80% of our games, if not more. So yeah, we still have it. I still have my copy. This is just another copy I got. This ended up going for $15. Just a really good, fun 30-minute game. It's always impresses me when a game can get like a lot of fun in 30 minutes, and there's different strategies, right? All right. moving along is going to be a DVD. It's Memento. I've never seen this one. And have you seen this one or no? Memento? No idea. All right. Kind of has like a almost like a little bookcase or like a little file thing. Like casing is kind of different. So yeah, this one going for $9.60. More DVDs, more physical media stuff. You know how I feel about it. All right, moving along. I didn't realize this was a thing. Like I've heard of the name before, but until I got some and listed it, I completely forgot about it. It's Epic Warhammer 40K, which are like really tiny sized Warhammer 40K stuff. I want to say it plays similar. It's obviously not going to be the exact same thing. Where did I put them? I'll check right in front of me first. It's going to be right over here. Got a bunch of them. These are going to be Wraith Guard infantry. So it's like two little strips of them. There's like 5 little infantry. It's too tiny. You probably can't see it. But these end up going for $10. So yeah, I got a bunch of that stuff. It's by the Eldar faction, I believe. So, all right. Next up, different person, but same category, the GDW Europa series. This is going to be, remember how I said the whole collection was kind of all over the place? So I did all the tokens, kind of like made some sense of the tokens. And then I had a bunch of rule sheets and papers and expansion papers and reference charts and just kind of any kind of things like that. So this is like over 100 of just the different sheets and stuff. You can see I even had it labeled 3 out of 4 just so I knew where everything was. But then I ended up finding like a bigger baggie, and that's all the stuff in here. Ended up going for $89.99. So it was pretty good. It was weird because like all the stuff that I listed, I think it was Thursday or Friday, I think everything's sold, which is like, I don't think I've ever had where everything I listed sold. But it was only like 10 or so listings, a lot less than I normally like to do. I've been less stressed about making up like a number of listings I need to do. I've just been kind of like getting whatever I want listed done at the time, something I think people would like. I saw this in a box that was sitting near me for like 3-4 months. All of it sold. I just kind of sat there and I thought, I was like, I think people aren't going to be into this. Like it's rare stuff. Like at least like the games are expensive when they're full. So I was like, maybe people want the parts because they can still get, more infantry and stuff like that. Or theirs is damaged or they just want them for another game. All right. This is also a super old listing. Maybe Annetta did this one. I don't know if she did this listing. I want to say she almost might have done this listing. This is a dinosaur dig kit. Also from our like first few months of a bunch of like Savers and Goodwill shopping, mom and pop thrift stores. Got this one probably for like $1 or $2. So it's like a little kit where like a kid will get like some digging tools and you're supposed to like hammer it and chop it out. And you get like your little dinosaur. End up going for $8.28. But yeah, I think Annetta listed that one. She also likes dinosaurs. All right. Moving along, we have this Tween by Kinder Perfect right here. Some kind of like one of those like party card games. These are all over the place. I'm not a big fan of party games. I know a lot of people like them. They're easy to like, whip out and then just play it instead of like, something else like these war games or something. They're just easier to play. They're more grounded of a game. So yeah, this just has a bunch of different prompts. There's going to be different like, humor to it. This end I'm going for $12. People can think apples to apples or Cards Against Humanity, that type of game-ish. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of offshoots to those. Moving along, we have 29 Airfix, which is the brand French Grenadiers. Where did I put them? They're blue over here. Yeah, more of these toy soldiers. They're 1 out of 32 scale, I think, or 1 out of 34. It's like 54 millimeters. The size matters for people. They're like Army Men toy size, if you want to think of that. Maybe a little bit bigger. But yeah, these end up going for $20.99. So it's good to sell a bunch of the soldiers. Speaking of the soldiers, we sold another pack of 4 of them. They were going to be the company Britons that I was talking about. These are 4. These were plastic. I had some that were metal. These were our Civil War Confederate soldiers. One of them randomly just doesn't have their head. It's missing their head. I put that in the pictures in the description. So there's 4 of them. They went for $12. All right. Next up is going to be an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade book right here. This is just going to be like a read-along type of book. If you have the cassettes, you can go ahead, pop in the cassette, and then you go through the pages. It show an example of like kids going through this. But yeah, people like Indiana Jones, and that was actually the one that showed me it during lockdown. So it's been a long time, but that's when I first saw the Indiana Jones movies. They were pretty good. This ended up going for $10.07. I don't remember too much from them because I only watched them one time. We were watching like a bunch of movies, so I can re-watch them and re-enjoy Indiana Jones again. All right. Next up is we should do that. We have to watch those soon. The Indiana Jones series. All right, we got this right here. This is Dice Prix Grand Prix Racing right here. Board game. You know, I like to pick up all these like odds and ends, different board games. It doesn't have to be like something super popular. I know people collect all that kind of stuff. I also know like racing games, there's not too many of out there, and people are always looking for more of them, because if like a racing game doesn't click with them, they end up keep looking and looking. I haven't played this one. I played Formula D one time. The person didn't really know the rules too well, so I felt like I kind of half played it because I wasn't the one that reads the rules. I like to be the one that reads the rules, but occasionally someone else would be the one that teaches me. But I know people like Formula D, and there's a bunch of different like maps and races you can get. This one, I never heard of it before. That's why I picked it up. Someone else spent $12 on it. I think the popular one these days is called Heat, which I don't know too much about, but that's probably the most popular racing game is called Heat, or Heat Pedal to the Metal, or something like that. All right, moving along, we have 5. It's like reference sheets to a board game. 1971. This is Raiders of the. Is it of the North Sea? I think it's the Raiders of the North. Oh, I can't take them out. I kind of tightly packed them in there, so I don't want to like rip them as pulling them out. But yeah, 5 different reference sheets for that vintage board game. $17.91. And then also they did a combo order. They got the tokens, or some tokens for it. So I had 2 separate listings right here. There's like 6 of these different cardboard sheets with the tokens. So they're actually different sized than like the small little chit tokens. These are actually like kind of like a cardboard material. And some of the ones in the middle actually have like long ships. So Raiders of the North Sea. All right, $33.59 for that one. So that was 40, 50. It was a little bit more than $50 for the 2 for the combo order. All right, moving along, we have an incomplete. I don't know too much about this game other than it's a newer one. It's called Earthborn Rangers. I can picture like the kind of generic cover. It's kind of like green and trees and stuff on the front. I think it's a bigger box game. This is going to be like some Kickstarter stuff. It's just in its original little flap thing here. That's just how I got it. It's incomplete in there, so it doesn't have everything, but it does have like a sheet of tokens and stuff. That's probably the most important part. So like, I don't want them to get punched out, but there's gonna be a bunch of like extra expansion bits and pieces. I don't know if this game's co-op, or I want to say it's co-op, but like I always look it up. I'm always like, okay, that's what the game's about. I think it's just like the cover is kind of too generic. Like I said, it's just like green and looks like trees, where I can't get a grasp of it in my head because I don't own it and I haven't played it. But I know it's a newer one and people like it. $17.59 for these Kickstarter extras. It is going international, so they probably had troubles getting it when they ordered the game. That's how some of the Kickstarters, not everyone does international or different countries. So I have international shipping on, so it's funny that they're probably getting it from me because they couldn't get it another way. All right, next up is going to be 2 of these White Wolf magazines. Had a bunch of these before we started recording. We got like Dragon magazine. Those are really good. White Wolf, these are the quarterly ones. So yeah, they're going to be kind of like fantasy RPG, old school magazines where there's just going to be a bunch of stuff and articles in them. And then the other side also, I guess that's the back side. Sorry, there's 2 of them in here, but that says Insider as well. All right. These end up going for $10.80, so not too much. I used to lot them up by like 6, 7, or 8. Sorry, I'm running out of steam here. Losing my thoughts. And then, I would list a bunch of magazines. We do pretty well with magazines. Less so now since the shipping on them is pretty expensive, because magazines usually has to go at like a £2 rate, usually if it's like 6 or 7, sometimes 3. All right, last item for the day, Monks and Necromancers versus Paragon, Massive Darkness. This one's kind of an interesting one. This is 95% complete. I think just a couple of like tokens were missing. The important part is there's gonna be a bunch of miniatures. This is a fantasy dungeon crawl game by Cool Miniatures or Not. This one is recommended to me all the time because I like Journey's Descent in the Dark. I also like tactics games, Mage Knight by Vlad Schwattel, and I just like that kind of stuff, Kingdom Death Monster. But it just kind of has too much of a cartoon feel for me, and it looks a little too, I guess, simple. Like the dice just kind of have like individual symbols and stuff. I don't know. It's always recommended to me. People love this Massive Darkness series by Cool Miniatures or Not, and they also like Zombicide. So maybe if I get like a base game ever cheap, and then I get to just, play it, and then I'll actually see if I like the game or not. I'm just pretty good at telling if I would or wouldn't like a game by just looking at the aesthetics, the art style, the components, just like the generic read of, I don't have to read the rules, but I can usually just tell like, oh, there's dice, cards, there's gonna be like a push your luck mechanic, or there's deck building or something like that. I usually can just tell by looking at it. But yeah, someone picked this up for $15.99. I do think it looks like a better themed game than Zombicide. I got bored of zombies for a while. All right, that is everything. I am out of breath. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Happy birthday to me. What?